Hi and welcome to another tutorial from the Golden Ribbon. Today we're looking at the line icon Toucan tutorial in Inkscape. A great tutorial for beginners. Let's get straight into it. We have the colors on the right hand side, and we also have this nice gradient background, full HD 1920 by 1080 in dimension. So the first thing you want to do, you're going to create a rectangle. And this tutorial is really just going to be about rectangles and Boolean modes. Let's make this white just for the time being. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here with the Bezier tool. So you can get the Bezier tool by just pressing this here, right? Or you can use Shift F6. And for the rectangle, I'm going to just create this rectangle here. My rectangle has its corners rounded already, but by default it will look like this. To make the corners rounded, you just simply have to double click, and then that will reveal 3 nodes, 2 square nodes and 1 circle node, which is actually 2, but because they're behind each other you don't see the 2. So 2 square nodes and 2 circle nodes. And if you left click and you hold control and drag, this will make the edges of, or the 4 vertices of the box become rounded, and they'll be rounded proportionately. If you don't hold control, then they won't be rounded proportionally, and you'll get one side rounded and the other side not rounded. So yeah, so I want mine perfectly rounded, and let's kind of stretch it out a bit. Let's thin it and stretch it out a bit more. Okay, this looks good. Good, so now that we've done this, let's go ahead and just press B or go to the Bezier tool with Shift F6. We're going to click, hold Control and drag across. Right. Once we do that, let's just move these up to the top a bit. Let's zoom in with the middle mouse button. We're going to cut this rectangle behind us, this rounded rectangle, in half. We're going to divide it with this Bezier line that we've just made. I've eyeballed it to see if it's in the center, but if you want it perfectly in the center, we can go to Object, Align and Distribute, and make sure last is selected or first selected, but whatever one you pick up here, make sure you check which one you selected first and last. I'm just going to move it in the center, and then we're going to go ahead, select both of these with Shift, and we're going to go to Object, Path, and Division. So we're going to go to Path and Division. Good. So next part, just going to double click it to reveal the nodes, or you can go to the node tool up here, or press F2. And we're going to select these 2 nodes right here. We're going to bring it back a bit, and we see that we've gotten the beak of our Toucan. Let's bring this back. So just a simple box select. You just use your left mouse button and drag, while you're in node mode. So now that we have that, we can sort of move on to the next part of this. Good. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this back a little bit more. So a little bit more about this, and we're going to just hold control and just scale this up using the top left directional arrow. Good. And I think that's about right. Good. Next, I'm going to press B for the Bezier tool, or you can go to the Bezier tool here with Shift F6. I'm going to create another Bezier line, but we're going to create it vertically this time, and it's going to make it such that it crosses the bottom beak entirely. Good. Then I'm going to select it with the bottom beak, and we're going to go Path and Division. Excellent. So we're just going to remove this part here and delete it. Then we're going to drag these 2 parts and bring it back. In fact, let's not delete this. Let's keep this. Let's keep this just for the time being. Move it to the side. I'm just going to drag these back here. Awesome. Good. And let's drag this back too. Great. So we can just put this back here so that we have the back of the head. and let's just bring these closer together like so. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and add some of the colors that we saw to it. Let's add the orange, and at the top let's make this orange as well, and this, let's make it yellow. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it with Control and D. Then I'm going to flip it on the, it says flip it on the vertical, but I say flip it on the horizontal axis. And then we're going to bring this up. Okay, I noticed that they're different sizes, which is okay. What I'll do instead is that I'll just go ahead and draw a line with B, Bezier tool. I'm going to duplicate this and lift it up. Good, and we're just going to divide it again. So we're going to go path and division, and let's delete this part and create this part and make this part yellow. So we have the yellow part, the top and the bottom beak. Let's go ahead and use a rectangle tool again, and this time we're going to create the belly of the bird, and we're going to put the belly roughly here. Try to make the belly about the same size as the lower beak. Good. Maybe even a bit smaller, it's up to you. And we want it perfectly rounded. Let's go ahead and put it underneath, and let's give it a color. We want this to be blue, and we're going to duplicate it, lift it up slightly, and we're going to give it a yellow, the duplicate, and we want this to be the top part of the bellies of the bird's belly. So it's going to lift this up a bit. Good, just lift it up slightly. I'm going to duplicate the belly, select the top part, and we're going to go path and intersection. Great. Okay, I think we're moving just fine here. Next, I'm going to create a rectangle. Another one, and that's going to make for the legs. Let's go ahead and lift this up a bit. Awesome. Good. Then just going to go ahead and duplicate this, and I'm going to rotate it, and it's going to help us make the basis for the wings. Good, so it's going to go ahead, double click and bring these up a bit. Awesome. Now we want the wings to have a little bit more character than this. So what we're going to do, we're going to create another rectangle. But before we create that rectangle, we're just going to go ahead and turn on the snap tool here. Or you can hit shift and the percentage sign. And we're just going to go ahead and make sure that snap node, paths and handles, and that cost nodes are indeed active. Good, and I'm going to draw this rectangle to fit the same space as, or the same horizontal space, and we're just going to drag this down here, this node down here, and I'm going to turn this to be a orange, and that will make this top part round. Let's go ahead and just hold the square node and pull down to make this a bit longer, and then we can use path and union. Good, and that will make the basis for our first wing. Good, and let's just go ahead and bring this up a bit. It's a bit too low, maybe a bit too low or high. Good. Second at the beak looks a bit long. Let's go ahead and just bring this down a bit, and let's go ahead and let's pull this in, and let's pull this up a tad. Okay, I may just have to cut this myself, but that's okay. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and make one more change to this wing, and just want to pull it in, delete some of these nodes here. So just use box select, delete them, select these two nodes, make it straight, pull this up and stretch it in a bit. Awesome. Yeah, I much prefer the wings like this. Don't want them to be completely straight. Okay then, so we've done the wings. Let's lift these up. Alright, let me just draw a bezier line with B. And we're just going to cut this here with difference, path and division, sorry. Delete that top. Good. And let's color this feather right here, or this wing, sorry. So then we're just going to go ahead and click it with the select tool, left click and left click once more, and we'll see the rotational handles as well as the pivotal point. So we're going to get this cross here, this is the pivot point, and we're going to drag it to the top. Then we're going to duplicate it and put it across. Good, and we're going to duplicate it once more and bring it across. And we're going to color the middle one a lighter blue and lift it up in the hierarchy, in the visual hierarchy here, and that makes our wings. And for the next part, I'm just going to go ahead and select these 3 wings, duplicate them. Let's group them with Ctrl and G and just put these underneath using the hierarchy, visual hierarchy tools. And we're just going to flip them. So we're flipping them on the horizontal axis, or flipping them on the horizontal, but I say flipping them on the vertical. And yeah, that gives us our wings here, and we can go ahead and pull these back. Gives us our wings here. Good, so the form of our toucan is basically made. Let's go ahead and select a circle tool or the ellipse tool. Good, and we're going to duplicate it, scale it in with Control, Shift and pulling the directional buttons. Just give it a different color so we can see. So we're just scaling it in here and scaling a bit more. And then we're going to select these 2 circles and go path and difference. Then we're going to create another bezier line, holding Control and dragging it down horizontally. We're going to cut this circle in half, path with division. Good. And then let's just scale it up, scale it in a bit because it's a bit big. A little bit more. And just gonna go ahead and duplicate this. Let's take off snap and put it here. Okay, and so for the most part the toucan is complete, you know. So all we need to do here now, just add the perch that it is standing on with another rectangle, and we round the edges of that rectangle. Good. And now it's only a matter of adding the stroke and some detail. And let's make this brown. Let's make the talons yellow. Good. And let's add a bit more to this now. So I'm just going to highlight everything here, and I'm going to press D for the dropper tool, and I'm going to select this dark blue down here, and that dark blue will give us, if we hold shift and click it, it will fill the stroke for us. Good. I'm going to increase the stroke. Let's increase it to about 2. It's too good. Let's try 2.7. Good, that looks about right. Yeah, I think 2.7 looks good. Alright, let's duplicate these because we don't want the stroke to reach this far. We'll path and union to unify both of these. Good. And then we're just going to go ahead, double click to go into null mode and sort of just get rid of these nodes here. I'm going to break this line so that there's no line here. Let's go ahead and just delete line segment between the 2 end nodes. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And let's stretch this across. Awesome. And then for this now, we're going to select these two nodes, and we're just going to say insert nodes in selected segments. So we want a new node in the middle, and then we're going to break from here to here. So let's select these two nodes and break the line segment. Good. And we're going to do the same here. We're going to select these two nodes and break the line segment. Good. That way we can sort of just bring this line segment wherever we want it. Okay, the talons look a little bit thin. Let's go ahead and give them a lighter stroke, say 2. Alright, cool. So we're almost finished with this tutorial. I think the only things that we have left to do here now. You have the belly and the wings and everything. I think the wings could have been a bit longer, but you know, that's a simple fix. You know, but that's okay. All we need to do is add the pattern on the beak and the beak itself. So let's go ahead and select the ellipse tool and select this blue, and then we're just going to add 2 rectangles for the beak. Select these two, let's path and unify them, and then with the beak duplicated, let's select these two and go to path and let's go to path and intersection. Make these yellow, and let's just squeeze them in a bit. And last but not least, the beak, which is going to use an ellipse tool. Let's make it blue, and let's put it just here. Duplicate the beak once more and go to path and intersection. Yeah, squeeze this in a bit and squeeze this out, and that pretty much sums a Toucan line icon tutorial. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comment box. I don't presume to know all things, you know, and I appreciate the constructive points and also the questions. That helps everybody in the community. It helps me. When I was learning this, you know, comments helped a lot, so I know that comments, you know, for my videos will help my viewers a lot as well. So, you know, just go ahead and leave those comments. You know, let me know what you think. If it's something that you want to see more of, this type of style of illustration, you can also let me know. You know, that feedback helps too, and I do my best to, you know, respond to it once I can. Okay then. So until I see you again with another Inkscape tutorial, get up and design a new door. Later.